Well, I'm here. Don't see anybody else here yet. Let's see what happens. Could this be the night we get it right? I'm Lydia Glider Shelley, and this is the Invisible Hand Show. I want to thank Mike Shanklin for creating the Voluntary Virtues Network and offering us these slots. And I hope I can actually get somebody in here for a discussion tonight. I've been trying for a few weeks to get it right. We'll see. At the moment, it doesn't look like I have anyone. Lydia Glider Shelley, and this is the Invisible Hand Show. I want to thank Mike Shanklin for creating the Voluntary Virtues Network, and that just shows me what I already did. Oops. And I hope I can. Okay. Well, it doesn't look like that doesn't work either. Cute. Well, still not quite sure how all this works, but I'm learning a little more every week, I guess. The book there is the source of what we're discussing. To recap, as I've mentioned previously, the author of Invisible Hand, Larry Mason, tried for over 3 decades to explain the concepts to anyone who would listen. But after he still was making no headway with it, he chose to write the book as a vehicle in order to get people to more clearly envision what he was trying to say. And it still probably doesn't go far enough. The truth is, at one point they were talking about making a video game, but I haven't heard anything about that lately. I would like to see it as an anime series, but however we manage to get the concepts expressed and understood by the general populace, the sooner the better. I don't know if I need to let people in or not. I see one viewer, but I don't know if that means anybody's trying to join the conversation. So please bear with me if you are trying to get in. Last week I used this group chat, but there was nobody chatting back in here. Let me check the page on YouTube. I don't see anything there either. Well, it would definitely be nice to stop talking to myself. One of the things that I'd like to talk about, though, is overall happiness and how hard it is to be happy in today's world, the way it's set up, and the way we're sort of dealt whatever hand we're dealt. We're often sort of boxed into our excuse me. We're often sort of boxed into our situations with little opportunity to go elsewhere. or to do something differently. And with the system that we promote, it will be much easier to stop doing something that you're not happy with and move on to something else that will bring you joy and pleasure. That being said, I don't believe that we have any lack of garbage men, for example, because that would be a position where people could earn a lot of money relatively quickly because the net benefit generated by sanitation workers would be realized rather quickly. So for somebody that wanted to earn a whole lot of money pretty quickly with relatively little education and a few skills, becoming a sanitation worker would allow them to do that. They could rack up money for any number of purposes. But again, in the system that we promote, your money can only be used to purchase luxuries. Capital goods cost you nothing, and so do necessities. There's my phone. Capital goods are items that people would give you in order to run a business, from trucks and transportation to raw materials and anything in between. They will be paid based on the net benefit generated down the line when your work is completed. So anyone with a reasonably good track record of getting things done won't find it difficult to obtain capital goods. As a matter of fact, I personally would envision that those who have the capital goods might even compete a little bit to get someone whose work has been of exemplary quality to use their materials, or to let them be their supplier rather than choosing someone else. But that might not even be necessary, because somebody that's really good at what they do might find a way to use all those materials and just hire more workers to do the jobs. So there would be a lot of room for expansion, and for those who have won awards and otherwise set themselves apart from the pack to continue shining and continue drawing more workers, capital goods, and whatever else to them. And I can't say their business. Under the circumstances that would be created by this system, a business would not be the same sort of entity that we have now. For example, there would be no corporations, there would be no companies, because those entities would no longer be able to have money. Money would only be for real people. And I see Noel there. Noel, can you speak? Or are you just here to chat in the group chat? Ah, on the work computer, no camera or mic, I see. Well, thanks for joining. Do you have a question? And I'm just saying what I'm typing out loud for the benefit of those who may not see the group chat. I see you do have headphones on, but you just heard my explanation. There may be people who are listening to this now or after it is rendered as a video that won't see the group chat. So, do you have any questions? Have you read Invisible Hand? Well, it's great to have you here. Invisible Hand is available online at nopom.info. Well, actually, it's nopomstuff.info now, but nopom.info points to that place too. So either way, nopom.info or nopomstuff.info. And that will be at the top of the screen after the video is rendered and I can do some editing on it. Basically, it's really hard to understand the full scope of this economic system and everything it involves without reading the novel, because Larry did try for over 3 decades to express it. He talked to people, he explained it to people, but he got a lot of glassy-eyed stares and confusion. The book provides a story that gives an example of how the system would work if it were put into effect, if it were adopted. And in the book, he used what he knows, which is the United States. But honestly, it could be done in any country. As far as reading the novel or listening to the MP3 version, it's all on the website for free, so you don't have to pay for it. Although you can order a hard copy like this one if you prefer to have a book to hold in your hands like some people do. Well, I see Noel had to leave. He was probably just dropping in and his boss may have gone by, but I do appreciate having somebody show up, and I think we're moving in the right direction here. Now if I can just get one person in here gabbing with me. Well, I think next week might be an opportunity to chat with Larry. Right now he is babysitting, and before now he had coaching duties, but well, cross your fingers that next week Larry and I will both be in here discussing the system, all of its merits, and whatever else, it would help if anybody that's interested in having questions answered would leave them in the group or show up. But if you can't show up at 7:30 on a Friday night, that's understandable. Leaving the questions in the Voluntary Virtues Facebook group or in the POM discussion group on Facebook. We will get those questions and answer them here. I don't know if anybody's trying to get in. I see there's one viewer, but I'm not sure if that's just Noel and he had to leave the chat, but he's still there, or if it's someone else. Excuse me, entirely. Let me take a look over. Let's see if somebody's trying to talk to me on Facebook or anything. Nope, I don't see anybody there right now. So it would appear that it's just me here, all by myself. And if there is a viewer, it's hard to say. Well, getting back to the happiness factor, with this system that we're so eager to see put into place, you would not have to pay for a lot of things that people go broke over today. Uh, Starting with basic healthy food, shelter, simple clothing, basic transportation like the bus, all levels of medical care other than elective or cosmetics stuff that um, is more of a luxury. All levels of education would cost nothing. Many things that we pay for now um, would become necessities and therefore not cost us anything, although there might be luxury levels or something. But things like cell phones and internet service would just be considered necessities and everyone would have them. Um, I don't see any reason to doubt that. Coffee, coffee would probably be considered a necessity, or the whole country would revolt. Uh, but there's other things that we go broke paying for that would no longer exist in the new paradigm, if you will, and that would be things like insurance, because since everything works differently, insurance would just be obsolete and unnecessary. Just like banks would be obsolete and unnecessary. There would be computer accounts in the system, and those would be managed and maintained, and people would be paid quite well for ensuring the integrity of those accounts. But there would be no institutions per se that are in charge of that. Governments would probably eventually be unnecessary and obsolete. Um, I don't know about militaries. I don't, over time, if the whole world were to adopt a system like this, there, I really don't see that there would be much need for militaries. And all of the resources that go into those uh, purposes will be redirected to more useful things like exploring the ocean or outer space or advancing medical technology and whatever things that we may not have even imagined yet that will be more likely to come up once we're all freed from the burden of struggling for mere existence. People can be freed to really live instead of just scraping by. And that's one of the more exciting aspects, is that because you don't need to cover your basic expenses, you'll really be able to enjoy the money you have earned and treating yourself to things that you would never have been able to buy if you spent all of your effort earning just enough to feed yourself, clothe yourself, put a roof over your head, pay for all of the various different types of insurance that are required by law. It's just as different as it can be without being entirely different, because it's not like somebody waves a magic wand and the world's all different. But there will be so many different aspects that improve our lives. For example, being able to check someone's reputation will have profound positive consequences over the long run. And people getting used to being expected to reveal their reputation in order to get work, housing, whatever may be the case. It brings more of a small town atmosphere to a global world where everybody can know what you did last time about a given situation. It's easy to investigate. It's on the record. If you're going to rent a beach house and your housing record says that you have always kept a clean house and never damaged people's property, then you won't have any difficulty. But if your record says that you have a habit of trashing properties, you may still get to rent that beach house, but you might be expected to pay considerably more than someone with a clean reputation would have. So it's similar to the way insurance rates work in that regard, but it's only because there won't be any insurance. I mean, the insurance is knowing what someone's reputation is before you rent to them. And knowing that if you're going to rent to somebody who's loud, you might want to make it at a time when all the nearby homes are going to be vacant, like off-season or so forth. The more that you think about this and look at it from different angles, the more things you find that will change, but it won't change the way people think. It might change the way they live. It won't change attitudes in some regards, but in other regards it will, because right now, if you look at somebody on the street, your attitude might be, well, they got themselves there, what can I do? But with the system in this book put in place, you see that same person on the street, you realize that any little thing you do for them, you will get paid for. So it gives you motivation to be a better person, and person by person, for us to be a better society and kinder to each other, more helpful to each other, less inclined to judge each other or tear each other down instead of building each other up and assisting wherever and whenever we can. Running out of time here, and I still don't have anybody in here with me, which is a little bit depressing, but it's nice to see there's 2 viewers that may or may not actually be listening to me right now. Hi, if you're there, and maybe next week you can actually join the conversation. That would be wonderful. Eager to actually talk in depth with others, particularly those who have actually read the novel or listened to the MP3s, and especially those who have read or listened to the novel and read all the articles on the website, as well as viewing all of the previous installments of this show, because you are the person who is most likely to step in with us and actually help bring this into existence. This book was not written for entertainment. It was written for the specific purpose of promoting the concepts, the economic system, everything related to how the economic system and surrounding framework would have to be structured and so forth. Maybe that would be a good discussion for next week, to talk about the framework and some of the things that will have to happen in order for it to take place. For one thing, we're going to need like 1 million programmers, and all of those programmers are going to be so amazingly well compensated after the system is put into place, particularly those who continue to improve the system and keep it honest. The more net benefit anyone generates, the more they're going to be paid. It's just that simple. And I personally would really enjoy being paid for every positive thing I do that helps others. I don't know about you, but the idea really excites me, to be able to go out and pick up trash on the street and get paid for that, to be able to counsel somebody online or on the phone as a mentor of any sort and get paid for that. Whatever the case may be, to be recognized for what we do and how we benefit people, and for that recognition to be in a tangible form such as money, I just don't see how that could be construed as undesirable. However, I do acknowledge that there are aspects of this system that certain people do find undesirable. And if you come and join us in the discussions, we can talk about that. Obviously, I would prefer to stick to the positive when nobody's joining me in the conversation, but we'll go over positive, negative, and everything in between when some other people are in the hangout and it's not just me sitting here going yakety yakety yak. But if you have been sticking with me through all of these, God bless you. And if you've made it this far, I really appreciate you taking the time to join me when I'm really just kind of shooting in the dark here at the moment, hoping to get this show moving. I do have a lecture Larry sent me for editing that we'll be recording shortly, and that may be used in the near future, although if we get the shows rolling, I'll just save it for an emergency when I can't do the show for whatever reason. Unless, and crossing my fingers again here, Larry learns how to actually come in and host, and then it'll be a whole different ballgame. He's pretty smart, so I wouldn't be surprised if one day he does take the reins. But in the meantime, thank you for listening. Thank you for reading the book. And please, if you haven't read it yet or listened to the MP3s, go to the website. It'll be up across the top of the screen after this video has been rendered. And once you have read or listened to the story, you'll hopefully be as excited as we are about it. And if you're not, come on back and tell us why not. We do want to discuss it from every conceivable angle. So thank you, and I'm signing off now. Good night.